From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Rain is moving across the area this afternoon, but most of it's going to be drying up as we get into the later afternoon hours. In fact, we may even see a little glimpse of sunshine with temperatures making it into the low 80s today. Should be pretty quiet overnight until early tomorrow morning when one round of showers and thunderstorms moves to the north of St. Louis, but a second round in the evening and overnight hours could become severe. This is again on Thursday afternoon, evening, and overnight. We have to watch out for some strong storms. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
Because truth matters.
Let's speak that truth.
Because understanding matters.
Let's break this down.
With all that's happening.
And it's happening a lot faster.
What matters most is...
the only question that matters here.
Are you informed?
Important issues that are facing this country.
Depend on us.
The latest events.
The information you need.
Here are the facts.
When you need it.
We always have great conversations.
You guys have a great radio station.
101.9 and 94.1. News Talk STL. This hour of Colombo Company brought to you by Gutter Pros. Water goes where we tell it. Call 314-656-7195 or visit them at gutterpros.com. When it's important to you,
They always discuss the most important topics.
it's on News Talk STL.
Governor Tim Walz of the great state of Minnesota.
She is only in this to obey the far left radicals within her own party.
News, analysis, opinion.
She unleashed the worst border crisis in American history on her watch.
Well, Donald, meet me on the debate stage.
Number one for live and local conservative talk.
My talk station.
News Talk STL.
The time to rise has been engaged. You're better best to rearrange. I'm talking here to me alone. I listen to the finest work song. The finest of hours.
Hello and welcome to Wednesday afternoon here on Colombo and Company on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL. I'm Tony Colombo in studio with producer Emily, and we have got a great show for you today. There's lots of Elon Musk in the news today, so we'll talk about that. We're also getting to be just days away now from the DNC, which, say what you will about the Democrats, and there's lots to say, certainly. This is going to be a very interesting convention for the Democrats, not only obviously because of Joe Biden stepping down and Kamala Harris taking over, but for as weak of a party as they are now, they still have some pretty big names from the past, and the lineup is actually pretty newsworthy. They're going to be on Monday. This coming Monday is the opening day of the Democratic National Convention. Joe Biden is going to speak on Monday. Barack Obama is going to speak on Tuesday. Bill Clinton is going to speak on Wednesday. And of course, Kamala Harris is going to speak on Thursday. Boy, talk about the weakness of the Democratic Party in its current form compared to its past. Does that not say it all? Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, and now Kamala Harris. Not a good look there at all, but we will do a little previewing of the DNC as we go through the show today. We have got a lot of company as well. In just about an hour from now, just after 3 o'clock, we'll have a little bit of fun. We'll open up Close's Cabinet, talk to Mark Close from KC95. We're also going to dig into some Missouri politics with Missouri political insider Rodney Boyd in about 15 minutes from now. And speaking of Missouri politics, joining me on the phone for probably this whole entire 2 o'clock hour. So my de facto co-host this afternoon, once again on a Wednesday, is Missouri State Senator Nick Schroer. Nick, how are you?
You know what? It's a wet hump day, and
it is. It's not a dry hump day today. It's a wet hump day today.
It's a very wet hump day,
and I would
rather be nowhere else than, on Colombo and Company.
Well, thank you very much. And there's no better company to have than you, Senator. You heard me talking. I think you could hear me there while you were on hold, getting ready to start the show here. About and it really, that was a real time revelation. Like that wasn't like a pre set up little quip about the Democratic Party. As I was promoting the DNC and talking about all the news that's going to be made next week, it really does really shine a light on how much the Democratic Party, how pathetic and weak they have become. Say what you will about disagreeing with Democrat policies, and there was plenty to disagree with and all of that, but Bill Clinton and Barack Obama were very popular presidents that got a lot of stuff done. Now, I'm not saying it was all good stuff. I'm just saying they got a lot of stuff done. They were not incompetent people. And to be looking forward to this DNC next week, and covering it, and all the news that is bound to come out of it, to think about, like, on Tuesday night, Barack Obama speaks. On Wednesday night, Bill Clinton speaks. You're like, man, that's some powerful stuff there. Thursday night, the new nominee, Kamala Harris, speaks. I mean, will this convention not really show how far the Democrat Party has fallen, just as far as star power, popularity, and just competent human beings leading the party? Right?
Well, I mean, it's transitioned, and it really will. It'll illustrate the transition from a JFK type of Democrat Party that actually worked with Republicans, worked with Newt Gingrich, and that was Bill Clinton, into, what they've become. And slowly but surely, whether it was Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, Barack Obama, and now Kamala Harris and Timothy Walz, it has transitioned from a Democrat Party that kind of made sense on some issues to a Democrat Party that has gone full-blown Marxist, socialist, and they're saying the quiet part out loud. When you listen to Timothy Walz, he's saying, basically, neighborliness is socialism to some people. And Kamala Harris has supported so many far left, far progressive, I call them regressive, because socialism hasn't worked anywhere it's been implemented, policies that, the likes of Bernie Sanders and Ocasio-Cortez are pushing forward. And the other part that is very telling about this, and I read up on this just minutes before we jumped on air, is Joe Biden's not going to stick around after he makes his speech on the opening night. He's snubbing Barack Obama, snubbing Hillary Clinton, and snubbing Kamala Harris after they stabbed him in the back. Snubbing all of them.
Yeah. In fact, I'm glad you brought that up, because it's perfect segue. I have a story about that today. There's more and more reports coming out about how truly upset Joe Biden is, and the word is bitter, about the way that the Democratic Party has basically just ushered him out the door, which was the right thing to do from the Democratic Party. But, Jill and
about 10 years too late.
Right. Jill and Joey and little Hunter, they were not ready to go. So this is apparently behind the scenes is pretty intense. And like I said, the Biden team, the Biden regime, the Biden faithful are very bitter and angry with others in the Democratic Party. So here's this latest report. President Biden remains bitter towards the top Democrats who organized his ouster from the 2024 presidential race, even as the party prepares a massive send-off at the Democratic National Convention, according to multiple reports. So that's going to be interesting because, as you said, he's not sticking around. Biden speaks on Monday. So the current president of the United States is speaking on opening day. And then that's it. Then he's gone, which, talk about moving on. But that day, Monday, is reportedly going to be this big puff piece of a day celebrating the life and sacrifice and service of Joe Biden and the Biden family. I'm sure we're all going to want to vomit when we watch this. I'm sure I'll be screaming at the television at all the lies that are coming out of the speakers. Anyway,
how many little girls getting sniffed will be in that video montage?
Yeah, right. Is Tara Reid going to be interviewed for that send off? I'd like to hear that conversation.
There's got to be a rebuttal by the Republicans that have Tara Reid, that have Monica Lewinsky, and all of the different mistresses that have been a part of the Democrat Party over the years.
Yeah, for sure. Biden remains frustrated that former President Barack Obama did not tell him to drop out of the race face to face, but rather used his influence behind the scenes. That to me is very interesting. Again, not trying to give Barack Obama too much credit, but Obama has always seemed to me to be the kind of guy that knows his own power and is comfortable in flexing it. So, and I'm not saying that's a positive thing. It can be a positive thing, but I'm not saying that it's, that it's not necessarily a positive thing. But I would have guessed that Barack Obama would have been the type of guy that would have picked up the phone, called Joe, and said, Joe, look at you.
listen to you, Joe.
Listen to you, Joe. Look at you, buddy.
What did you say? Stay in office if you can tell me what you mean by that.
Right.
But resign, step down if you too don't have any idea what the hell you're saying.
Yes. What's 87 times 14? If you can't tell me that in 10 seconds, you got to go.
Vanilla bean ice cream.
Right. So that's interesting to me that Barack Obama was shady about it, schemed behind the scenes, according to these reports. He's also, Biden, angry at former Speaker Nancy Pelosi, who he believes played the major role in forcing him to withdraw, and I think that's been proven. I think she's actually even all but admitted that. So, no doubt there, alongside Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer. So it was Nancy leading the way with Chucky, helping her out. And then, of course, no decisions get made in the Democratic Party without consulting the Obamas. So, those are the three big names there. News of Biden's...
Unless it's using like a water board or whatever the hell that was, a wakeboard in the bakeyard.
Or putting kids in cages.
You have no idea. Yeah, if you're the Obamas, I don't know how our cook got out there on the wakeboard, but
right. I don't know how those kids got put in cages down there at the border, but we'll blame Trump here in a few years. That was the plan all along. News of Biden's frustration comes as Democratic Party plans a massive celebratory send-off for Biden at the DNC. The very party members who forced him to drop out now hail him as an elder statesman. Quote, President Joe Biden is a patriotic American who has always put our country first. His legacy of vision, values, and leadership make him one of the most consequential presidents in American history. This is according to Nancy Pelosi, who also said that Joe Biden belongs on Mount Rushmore. Oh,
he belongs in a nursing home. That's he belongs.
That is exactly right. So I don't know. We'll see. I wonder if, Joe, here's the thing about Joe. Here's the thing about all old people, that when they start to they just don't. I know a lot of people are like, oh, what insulting thing is this man about to say when he just said,
what
here's
is old
the thing
here?
About
Real
old
quick,
people.
What is old? What is old to you?
Joe Biden. Joe Biden is old.
Okay.
100%. Joe Biden is old. Joe Biden has had less F's to give seemingly recently. He just can't control it anymore. His frustration, his anger is right at the surface. So I wonder, I'm sure it won't bubble over on stage. Maybe it will. That would be a lot of fun.
I hope it does.
I know, me too. But knowing all this that's happening, I, for one, am going to be keeping a very close eye on Joe Biden on stage at the DNC, because we know he's mad. We know Jill is mad. And if Joe probably knows that he's mad, and he has to keep asking, Jill, why are we mad? Jill, why are we mad? Joey, because they backstabbed you, Joey.
Yeah.
That.
Because we can't get that Burisma money anymore, Joey.
Right. We're supposed to be there. You told me I would be queen for 8 years, Joe. 8 years.
I hope when he takes the stage, everybody's, just on the edge of their seat. Oh, yeah.
I'll be on the edge of mine.
Well, I'm hoping it turns into that half-baked moment where it's, okay, Obama, F you, you're cool, but F you. And he does that to the entire Democrat Party. I hope it's a tell-all. He just lets Let's it all go.
F you, F you, F you, F you. Who next?
Yeah.
Yes, that would be great. And I would sacrifice a lot of money if the teleprompter could get turned off halfway through that speech, and
Do you think that
he's left up
like
there
the
alone?
Trump campaign, maybe somebody can hack it? Let's see if somebody, and I'm not advocating for this, but I'm just saying
I will.
It'd be pretty funny.
I'll
like
advocate
Anchorman.
for it. Whatever you're about to say, I'll advocate.
Just get in there. Just hack that.
You're an elected official. You got to watch yourself a little bit. I'll just let it. I'll just say it.
I'm just saying, if somebody was writing a movie that it involved the hacking of the teleprompter for Joe Biden at the DNC, and it was a tell-all book,
yeah,
I think that would be very entertaining.
Yeah. If somebody could, if the part where he's talking about his history and he gets into the Obamas and he starts to thank the Obamas, if somebody would just change the word Michelle to Big Mike.
Big Mike.
That's all we need. That's all we
Yeah.
need. If he's just like, I want to thank Barack and Big Mike for all
Big Mike.
I would pay a lot of money
hanging around
because he would say it. Because he's he's that clueless. He is. He's Ron Burgundy, but he's worse than Ron Burgundy. He is a dementia Ron Burgundy. Not only will he read anything that's on the prompter, he can't even process like what went wrong or why or who did like afterwards. He will just
if Ron Burgundy and the Steve Carell character had a baby.
Yes. That would be
old baby. That's Joe Biden.
You are so right. If you had to take two like characters in famous media and say, how would you best describe Joe Biden? It would be Ron Burgundy and the weatherman, Steve Carell's character, who I can't remember the name of
100%.
Can't remember that character's name, but yes, you combine those two together and you literally have Joe Biden. That is so true. All right, that is Missouri State Senator Nick Schroer, who is sticking around with me for this 2:00 hour this afternoon. At 3, we're going to open up Close's Cabinet, have a little fun with Mark Close from KC95. And next, we are going to switch to some local news and local politics, not only with Senator Schroer, but also Missouri political insider Rodney Boyd, who joins us next here on Colombo and Company.
Follow Tony Colombo on Twitter at Tony Colombo Talk. News Talk STL.
First thing in the morning and pretty much all day.
Live and local. 1019 and 94.1. News Talk STL.
If you have a pest issue at your home, or more importantly, just want to prevent one from developing, you need to call the team at All Solutions Pest Control. We have been working with All Solutions Pest Control for about 2 years now at our new home. And Christine and I have always been big believers in having a pest control service because neither one of us like pests. We don't want mice in the home. We don't want ants in the home. We don't want wasps around the backyard, mosquitoes, any of that stuff. So we have always used a pest control service mostly for the prevention aspect. There have been times over the years where we have had an issue or two at a home in the past, but mostly to put that shield of protection up over our home. And so we have a lot of experience with this stuff. And I can tell you from that experience that nobody is better than All Solutions Pest Control. Here's one perfect example of that. I mentioned the mosquitoes, the mosquito treatment. We take advantage of the All Solutions Pest Control mosquito treatment through the spring and summer. So it's happening, something that's being used at our home right now. Because we have kids that like to play outside. We like to grill outside. We like to enjoy our yard outside, and nothing can ruin a good time like mosquitoes, getting eaten up by mosquitoes when you're trying to grill or have the kids play outside. So we use their mosquito treatment. We've used mosquito treatments in the past from other services. And not only did it not work as well as the All Solutions Pest Control mosquito treatment, but it would also make our dog sick. It would make Molly sick. And so we couldn't use it. It took a couple weeks to realize what was going on, that she was getting sick, and then why was she getting sick, and then she'd get better, and then it would happen again a month later, and we'd, like it took us a couple months, but we correlated the two, and obviously don't want the dog to get sick, so not only did it not work that well, but it also made the dog sick. In the last couple of years, we've had much better mosquito treatment, and Molly is healthy as a horse and just about as big as one too. So she's doing great. And that is just one perfect little example of how All Solutions Pest Control stands out above the rest. So if you have a pest issue, you can call them. They'll come and take care of that for you. And even more, if you just want to prevent that from happening at your home, All Solutions Pest Control is the team to call. And right now you can even take advantage of their $67 introductory special. What an incredible offer and a perfect time to take advantage of it. $67 introductory special at All Solutions Pest Control. Learn about that and everything else they can do for you and your family and your home at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
Loyalty means a lot at Ackerman Toyota. That's why during COVID, Ackerman refused to charge over sticker price, while others did. Ackerman stayed true to their customers, selling at or below manufacturer suggested prices. Ackerman will get you what you want, and the service department has the same spirit. You come first. And thank you for making Ackerman Toyota #1 in 2023. Ackerman Toyota, AckermanToyota.com. Ackerman Toyota for life.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
What's the latest leftist lawfare to corrupt our Constitution? We'll discuss at 4:25 with Zach Smith of the Heritage Foundation. At 5:25, Jonathan Williams of ALEC.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
How sweet it is to be loved by you. How sweet it is to be loved by you.
Oh, yeah. Welcome back to Colombo and Company. Did you know that I like James Taylor, or are you just putting that in there because you like James Taylor?
I just have really good music taste. So
all right.
It's
nice
in there
job.
now.
I was going to say, I don't think we've ever had
That's
that
not even in our
conversation.
show's section. I just found it in there.
I was going to say, I don't even think you and I have ever had that conversation yet.
Not yet. Now we know.
Yes. I'm a big fan of JT, his music, not necessarily his politics. That is producer Emily. She's the brand new producer here at Colombo and Company. My name is Tony Colombo, and joining us on the line this afternoon is our buddy, Missouri State Senator Nick Schroer. We just were in contact with Missouri political insider Rodney Boyd, who said that since Nick is on, he refuses to share the airwaves with Senator Schroer, so he is not joining. No. Rodney is in a meeting and is going to either join us in the next segment. So he will be with us in just about 15 minutes from now. And you know what? He didn't run far enough because Nick will still be with us at that time as well. Nick, I wanted to get into some Missouri politics, and we'll continue this conversation when we do get Rodney on the line in a few minutes. But I wanted to get your thoughts on now that the primary elections are behind us, we are starting to focus on the general elections, and you got to feel pretty good as a Missouri Republican about your chances of the party winning the big seats that are up for grabs, the statewide seats, the Senate seat between Josh Hawley and Lucas Coons. Maybe it's not the exact Republican name that you wanted to see in every one of those instances, but how are you feeling overall about Republicans' chances at continuing to hold a very strong supermajority in the state of Missouri after the November elections?
Well, I can all but guarantee you, because I really don't do that in politics, but I can assure you in so many ways that there will be a supermajority of Republicans on paper, at least, a supermajority Republican Party that is governing the state of Missouri in House, Senate, and all of the different statewide seats. I've looked at the numbers. I've seen how many people pulled a Republican ballot versus the Democrat ballot. And I think those numbers are going to be on steroids once you put Donald Trump on the ballot. And
you know what? That's interesting. I hadn't looked at that. I hadn't seen that number. And I don't mean to put you on the spot. I don't need the exact numbers or anything, but how big of are we talking twice as many, 3 times as many? Like, how big of a disparity was that between Republican ballots that were pulled for the primaries as opposed to Democrat?
I would say in the and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it was a little bit over double in many instances.
Wow.
I know it was really weird, and some of the instances, like Josh Hawley had a lower amount than the other, Well, that's probably because people just said he's going to get this thing anyway.
Yeah, there was nothing to vote for. Right. He was unopposed. So why even bother?
But even looking at the Democrat candidates, and I know I'm going to catch flack for it. Oh, well, I don't care. They have weak candidates. They have weak candidates that support horrifically far left un-American policies that are going to drive us into becoming California, becoming Illinois, similar to what this ballot initiative that Jay Ashcroft, the Secretary of State, just approved that's going to be on the ballot in November. This is a Democrat far left uber liberal policy of allowing the murdering of an innocent child up until the point of birth. And if anybody needs a breakdown on that entire ballot initiative, look no further than News Talk STL. Go look at the Mike Ferguson show this morning, as they had my good friend Steve Rupp, the president of Missouri Right to Life, break down the entire thing, the good, the bad, the ugly, what the other side is saying about this. And that's exactly what the Democrats are trying to do. If they can't win over the voters, they're going to try to use their influence of out-of-state billionaires to inject stuff into our Constitution to make it 10 times harder to change that in the future.
Yeah, just like Colombo and Company, you can subscribe to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning podcast. Every show here, Mike and Vic and ourselves, and then Tim and Chris, we all put our shows out as podcasts right after we get off the air every day on basically every podcast platform. So make sure you are subscribed. As Nick mentioned, it's the best way to make sure that you never miss anything that happens on any of the shows. We talked, Nick, in that last segment when we were talking about the DNC, about how weak the Democratic Party is from a personnel standpoint these days. And we were mentioning, if you're just tuning in, you don't have to look any further than next week's DNC to see the past when it just comes to influential names in politics. You have Barack Obama speaking on Tuesday next week. You have Bill Clinton speaking on Wednesday of next week. And then Thursday, it's going to be capped off by Kamala Harris. I mean, if that doesn't show, the fall in just competent, popular candidates, I don't know what does. Has that reputation, has that weakness permeated down to the state level? And is that part of that? You work with Missouri Democrats every day, like them or not, you have to work with them. And, there were, we come from a state that has had Democrat governors, strong Democrat governors. Again,
not too long ago,
not necessarily that I agreed with, but I'm just saying that they were strong, popular governors on the Democratic side. Has the Democratic Party in the state of Missouri suffered the same drop that the national party has? And do you think, if so, do you think the two are connected somehow? Like it's always going to be that sort of national party in Washington, D.C. that dictates, what happens to the parties down the line.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know what's going on here in my office. The phone's going off
You're
like
an
crazy.
Important guy. It's all right.
I will say, I think it has permeated down to the state level. Unlike what Cori Bush said in her exit speech, there are strings attached. And I think with the Missouri Democrat Party, those strings are coming from the national level. And the reason I say this is when you talk to a lot of the different members in private and you have these conversations with people off the record, so many of the Democrats are open to admit, especially the Black Caucus. The Black Caucus in the House, which I had many friends inside of there, didn't agree with their policies, but many of them would say that the transgender issues, the pornographic material in our schools, the different far left social issues that are happening within their own party, turning away from God, this is something that they didn't stand by, but yet they continue to vote for it. Why? Because there was this machine that threatened to go after them and kick them out of office or find somebody to primary them and run against them for their next election. The thing you kept mentioning, Kamala Harris kicking off the DNC, and it confuses me. I don't have an answer to this, so maybe you all can provide some insight as to how somebody who is polling worse than Joe Biden in terms of popularity, who is literally the worst possible vice president. Even Democrats were trying to push her off of the ticket when it was Joe Biden going for a re-election, suddenly is like a God figure within the Democrat Party. I don't know how that happens overnight. Do you guys?
No, and it did happen overnight, and I'm so glad you brought that up. And and this is something that we all need to keep in the forefront of people's minds as they try to rewrite history. They try to tell us, how popular and how accomplished Tim Walz was in Minnesota, and how much Kamala Harris got done as vice president, and then as senator and as AG in California, which is all not true. You bring up such a great point. There were, for the last 3 years, until these last couple of months, when Joe Biden just became indefensible even by Democrats, the conversation was, how do we get her off the ticket for 2024?
Yeah.
Because she was considered to be an anchor. I remember doing stories over the last couple of years of there was at one point, there was a report about the Bidens and the Democrats considering appointing Kamala Harris to the Supreme Court, because you couldn't just dump her off the ticket, because if you dump her off the ticket, you're a misogynist, you're a racist, you can't do that. So the only way to get her off the ticket was to somehow, give her a equally or more powerful position. So it was like, well, maybe
give her a cookie.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe they make her. Maybe they're considering, or not. Maybe the reports were that they were considering making her Supreme Court a Supreme Court justice. That gets her off the ticket. It still appeases the woke identity politics crowd, and we can put somebody else on the ticket that's more popular. All throughout the last few years, every time we did a story about Joe Biden's record low approval rating, it would always come with the subheadline, Kamala Harris's is even worse. The headline would be Joe Biden, 31% approval rating, worst in history. And then the subheadline, Vice President Harris, even worse at 28%. It was always that. So now suddenly, not only are we being told that she's popular and great and has, this amazing track record, of accomplishments that she has done, but also every day, I should start just writing down the headlines and the date and the headline without the story. Every day there's a national headline about a poll that shows that Kamala Harris is pulling ahead of Trump in this swing state. New national poll shows Harris is neck and neck with Donald Trump. Where all these same news outlets and polling organizations who were for the last 3 years telling us the only person more unpopular than Joe Biden in America is Kamala Harris, are now telling us that Kamala Harris has always been this extremely popular and accomplished politician. It's a whole bunch of BS, is it not?
Well, what's even more fascinating, and you add these two pieces together, and it just makes this like, am I in a coma? Have I been hit over the head, and am I in a coma just screaming this? Because this is
Did I no clip into a different a different reality? Am I on a different earth?
You and I are Wolverine and Wolverine and whatever the hell the guys. Deadpool. So
you can be Deadpool. I'll be Wolverine, unless you want to be Wolverine.
I'm a big fan of Wolverine. I like Wolverine.
All right, I'll be Deadpool. I'm fine with that.
So the fascinating part is reviewing how Kamala is trying to distance herself from the administration that she's second in command of. I mean, look at the border, look at the economy. She goes out there talking about, oh yeah, we all know prices are still going up. The economy stinks right now. Nobody can find a job. Everything is much more expensive, but I'm going to save it. And then she talks about the border, which I remember reporting on this on Stand and Fight. I remember reporting
Sunday
on this
night,
when they
6
named
p.m.
her 6 to 8 p.m. every single night. Or every Sunday night. I wish it was every single night.
Yeah.
I'd be very busy. But I remember reporting that she was the border czar. Yeah. And now they're trying to say these same media outlets that said, yeah, she is the border czar. She's going to get this thing under control. All of a sudden they're like, nah, she's never been the border czar. And then the last part of it are the same media outlets that criticize Donald Trump for his no tax on tips plan that he's had for months, that I've seen him write on countless things. He goes to Chick-fil-A and buys all this stuff for the people at the crowd there that day.
Yeah.
Writes on the receipt, no tax on tips. All of these different media outlets, there's no way that's going to happen. Even if he does it, he's only going to help his rich donors. The same media outlets are now praising Kamala, who plagiarized this policy from Donald Trump. When she comes out and rolls out the same exact plan, they're now praising her. What in the hell is happening to an unbiased media? It's gone. It's 100% gone.
It's 100% gone. The Trump, I don't know if you watched or listened to any of the Trump Elon Musk interview yesterday or 2 nights ago.
Where they said he had a lisp.
Yeah, well, listen, I listened to it. I didn't listen to it live. I listened to it the next morning. I don't know that I listened to the cleaned up version because apparently they've now said that they cleaned up the technical problems that were, because remember, they were delayed about 45 minutes from getting the thing started because they were under a massive malware attack. Twitter was. Speaking of trying to silence voices. I mean, what else more proof do you need than that?
Maybe it was Hillary Clinton trying to hack back in.
Yeah, maybe she was wiping her hard drive with a washcloth. Yeah. Yeah. and a ball peen hammer. So they were really late getting on. So they definitely had legit and recognized tech issues. But I listened to it not too long after it was live, just less than 12 hours probably. And I didn't notice anything. People were like, why did Donald Trump sound strange? I was like, I listened to the whole thing before that story came out. So I wasn't listening for it, like, because I hadn't, hadn't occurred to me that anybody thought it sounded strange. But none of it sounded strange to me. It sounded like a phone call. I mean, we have it happen here on the station on live radio. They were live streaming. Tech issues happen. Sometimes there's little cutouts or little, weird, sound anomalies or whatever, glitches. But nothing stood out to me about sounding weird. So that was a bizarre story to me. Like,
Tony, what stood
was
out
Donald
to me
Trump a bot? Like, what? It sounded like Donald Trump to me. Go ahead.
Is he AI? The AI? No, two things stood out to me. Number one, this broke every single social media record of anybody tuning in.
Over a billion views.
Over a billion people.
It was perfect. It was perfect.
It was the best interview ever. But the other thing, it's like, look at these social media outlets that could never criticize Joe Biden when he's mumbling and slurring and not making a damn bit of sense. All of a sudden, they have an issue with Donald Trump on a record, like on a phone call, basically utilizing the spaces on X. Of course, your voice is going to sound weird. Of course, it's not going to sound identical to the person when you're in person talking to them. But no, I think over a billion people tuned in, and I think that shows you people are fed up with the liberal policies that are ruining America, ruining the economy, and ruining everybody's lives.
Yeah. Have you ever been on a phone call in your life? The person's voice doesn't sound like they do when they're standing in the room with you. I mean, it was that was the most ridiculously seemed to be made up stories. And again, maybe I just
if you're on speakerphone too,
right?
If you're on speakerphone, which he was, he had his phone sitting there on speakerphone on X, and I don't know what kind of program that they have. Sometimes you use Opal or you use some other kind of program that makes it sound crystal clear, makes it sound like you're right there. Other times you use a program that might not be as high tech, and it does. It sounds a little canny. It sounds a little bit robotic. But no, there were videos of Donald Trump sitting there talking in real time. Other people were recording him as he was doing this historic interview with Elon Musk.
Yep.
And there was nothing wrong with them. I think this is just, people grasping for straws once again, trying to distract us from the crappy policies that the Democrats are putting forth. And now they're even stealing policies from the Donald Trump campaign.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of Elon, we got an update, a story about him and saving the astronauts that are stranded on the International Space Station. We'll give you that story here in a little bit as we roll through the afternoon. But we are going to have that conversation with Missouri political insider Rodney Boyd. He joins us next as we also continue with State Senator Nick Schroer, all right here on Colombo Company.
Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL. If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world, it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
Thanks for being my voice in all this.
This is News Talk STL.
There are people out there that feel the way that I feel and say what I say.
Welcome home.
If you have an electrical need or an electrical project coming up at your home or your business, you need to call the team at Grasser Electric. We have had Grasser Electric in our home multiple times over the last couple of years. We discovered Grasser Electric when we moved into our new home, and we were, making that transition from all of the light fixtures and other things that were in the previous owner's home and transferring it over, changing it from their home to our home, essentially. And Grasser was a big help with that. They've also helped us with some other electrical needs that we have had in the last couple of years, and they are the best. They've knocked it out of the park every single time. The techs at Grasser are the most professional, easy to work with, friendly, the kind of people that you leave your home and the area that they were working in even cleaner and looking better than the way that they found it. And I just think that is absolutely the kind of team that you're looking for when somebody's coming into your home and performing such important work like working on your electrical needs. So whether it be a electrical need, all the way down to a simple service like replacing a bad light switch, or all the way up to a massive electrical project that you have in mind at your home or business, Grasser Electric can do it all. They also offer free quotes for new projects. So if you have an electrical problem or just need a quote for a new project, you need to call Grasser now. You can call them at 636-441-5200 or learn more and contact them through the website grasserelectric.com.
I've got a way for you to really dress up your home, and only one guy I'd trust to do it. Michael Proctor, like doctor. Michael will personally examine which drapes, blinds, or shutters will complement your home. He doesn't just measure, he designs, and to make sure it's done right, he will install them. All this saves you money on custom-made drapes, shades, and shutters. Proctor, spelled like doctor. ProctorDrapery.com. ProctorDrapery.com.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Drew Allen, he joins us. Donald Trump proved that he can drill, baby drill, fracking, XL Pipeline. Ken's paying $1.81 at the Circle K in Afton. Groceries are more affordable. We can afford our medicine. What does Kamala's skin color have to do with any of that?
In 30 seconds, you just made the case to re-elect Donald Trump.
Vic Porcelli, live and local, weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. Doug and Safe Money Radio is on 3 times every weekend, but in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com or call 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
This hour of Colombo and Company brought to you by Gutter Pros. Water goes where we tell it. Call 314-656-7195 or visit them at gutterpros.com.
I don't mind you coming here, wasting all my time.
Welcome back to Colombo and Company on 101.9 News Talk STL. We got a lot of company today. We're going to be joined by Mark Close from KC95 in about 15 minutes from now for Close's Cabinet. And right now on the line with us, if we hang up on somebody, you go ahead and solve the technical issues. Oh, maybe we're all right. All right. We have Missouri State Senator Nick Schroer on the line, and we have Missouri political insider Rodney Boyd on the line as well. We have everybody. Rodney, are you there?
I'm here. I'm coming in live from the wonderful
Kansas.
Coming in live from the wonderful Kansas City.
Yes. And Nick,
yeah. In another life, Nick would have been in another life not so long ago. Nick would have been over here with me. It's the HRCC meeting.
Yeah.
Nick doesn't deal with those anymore. He's ascended to the upper chamber, so he probably didn't even know what was going on. He's too busy.
It sounds like that's a good thing, actually. So I think there's a congratulations in order somewhere in there. Rodney,
he'll have his own. He'll have his own gathering. So
yes.
But this is the lower chamber gathering that he was in for a while before he made his ascension.
Yeah, you never get to outrun the meetings; they just get moved around.
That's exactly
right, Rodney. We were just talking throughout the show today about the condition within the Democratic Party, both nationally and here locally. We're looking locally. When I say locally, I mean in the state of Missouri. We're looking now ahead to the general election. Primary election is behind us. And it looks, for all intents and purposes, like maybe some of the names aren't the names that every Republican voter in the state of Missouri were the most happy to see advance through the primary process. But the party looks like it's set up to continue to have a very strong supermajority in the state of Missouri. Would you say that is indeed the truth? And then I want to dig into some of these races specifically, but overall, after primary day, are the Republicans in the state of Missouri set up to continue to have a dominance across the state?
Yeah, I see nothing on the ballot structure that would lend itself to anything other than what you just described. I think that the Republican statewide offices will remain in the Republican control. I think that President Trump's numbers in Missouri will do what they've done the last few cycles. They will drive a disparity from the top of the ticket and carry people, even in some cases, with higher margins of success than had he not been at the top. So I think your analysis is spot on.
So let me ask you about specifically, both of you, Rodney, go first. The Senate race between Josh Hawley and Lucas Kunce. Josh Hawley was one of the people that was kind of left out of the primary election discussion because he was running unopposed in that Republican primary, unlike many other seats that were up for grabs. But now Lucas Kunce, who had a very strong performance on the Democratic side, this is one that I would have thought and probably will be a landslide, but I am a little surprised at out of the gate how much money is being spent by both sides and how personal already these political ads are getting. And my political instincts say that Josh Hawley wouldn't be attacking and spending out money and, be ready to go on day one with this attack against Lucas Kunce if there wasn't at least some sort of concern there. And obviously Lucas Kunce is going to be backed, big time with some state, national wide Democratic money. Could that race get a little more interesting than maybe originally thought? Now that we're underway.
So I think that's a fair analysis. I think that the race could get interesting. I still, and look, I'm a pundit for this guy. I still don't see a pathway in the Missouri statewide election for Lucas Kunce to unseat Josh Hawley. Now, I think if you're in the Lucas Kunce camp, you're looking at and you're prognosticating how will the abortion ballot measure, who does that lend favor to? Is there a real now energy in a Kamala Harris candidacy that brings people who were not interested in voting for President Biden and maybe not voting at all? And so you're looking at these variables, right? And I think that goes to your point that, that makes it an interesting race. But I would still be comfortable to say that I would assume when we wake up on November the 6th, that Josh Hawley probably won by double digits.
So Nick, and maybe I'm just being, maybe I'm seeing something that isn't there, and you would know. I mean, you've ran a lot of races. It just seems to me that when a race, as soon as it gets underway, there's an inundation of political ads and their personal attacks coming from both sides. That tells me that both sides think that they have something to prove. Am I overthinking that there, or could this be a race that gets a little bit interesting in your opinion?
Well, I don't think it's going to get, interesting to the fact or, to the point that it's going to be
close,
up for grabs. I think this is a Josh Hawley victory. I think double digits possibly, but he's a smart, I don't want to say politician. He's a smart Missourian. Similar to a lot of the people like me, I implement a mindset of, look, if I've got an opponent, I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's Scooby-Doo or if somebody viable. I'm going to run a race like I'm 20 points down. And I think, we saw that with Ann Wagner and her opponent, Peter Pfeiffer.
Yeah, yeah.
I got more mail in my mailbox from Ann Wagner, and she won by double digits.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Josh Hawley is going to do. He's going to remind people, look, I'm here. I'm fighting for you. And hopefully if he sets the tone that, look, I win by double digits, I'm going to come out swinging. Maybe he won't get an opponent next time. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think he's going to get an opponent as long as he's there. But Eric Burleson down in the southern part of Missouri, he had
Springfield area.
three different opponents. He had three different opponents, and he came out swinging and won, I think, with almost 80% of the vote.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Right.
Rodney, Rodney, moving on from that race, are there any statewide races, congressional races, the Senate race we've already talked about? Is there anywhere that you see an opportunity for a Democrat to surprise a Republican, or are they all pretty much in a very strong position and something would have to happen for?
I'm gonna piggyback off Senator Schroer's comment.
Yes,
I don't
please.
think you take anybody for granted, right? But I think looking at the last voting pattern and looking at the voting demographics in this state, Missouri is a red state. Let's be clear about that. And I don't see anybody in terms of the challengers that whether it's Crystal Quaid or Lucas, I don't see anybody being able to overcome the sort of precedent that has been set and will be set again on November 5th. And so maybe you make a couple of dents in the armor, but I don't think there's an upset that we wake up in terms of I think the upsets have already occurred. And that's why you and I talked for the better part of a year about why August the 6th was so important.
Yeah.
So we did have upsets, but I think they're in the rearview mirror.
Did, yeah.
Without taking
Rodney
anybody for granted without taking everything for granted, I think that there'll be some competitive ads and some strategies. But I think for this upcoming election, I see that the Republican statewide elected officials will have success.
So, Rodney, we only got a couple minutes left, and so we'll pick this conversation up next week. But then do you think that the discussion going forward is going to be more about the issues like the abortion issue that's going to be on the ballot and maybe some other propositions or bills?
No doubt about it.
Yeah. Did we lose Rodney? Did we lose Nick? Nick, are you still there?
Yeah.
Oh,
I think the big issue, the one that's going to command a lot of attention, is the abortion issue.
Yeah. And I think that will be where the conversation lies, maybe with this in the primary election season, even on the Democratic side, especially in District 1, obviously with Cori Bush and Wesley Bell. That was where all the names, the people holding office was, that was the big story, obviously, for the primaries. I think in the general election, it's going to be, how do Missourians feel about abortion? What other propositions? Maybe, maybe some IP reform, maybe some of that discussion.
Yeah, if you go back when we had the big labor issue, and I remember people thought, well, this is going to be sort of a potential blue wave issue because they were trying to override the right to work legislation. You still had a lot of energy going toward what people thought was a big Democrat issue, and Republicans maintained their offices across the state.
Yeah,
and I'm not saying. So I just think you have to look at the historical way that Missouri has to form, and we're still in that same modality right now. This is a red state.
Nick, 30 seconds.
Statewide offices.
30 seconds, and I know you'll talk about it on Sunday nights, and we'll continue the conversation here. But how important is it to focus on that abortion message, at least for you, Senator?
Well, I think for me, that's all you're going to hear about. I think, a lot of these races were won in the primary in August, and that's going to be something. If you are a Republican and you're standing for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, it starts with life. And this is ultimately going to legalize abortion up until the time of birth. And that's something that Republicans have to come out, stand and fight, not just Sunday night, 6 to 8 p.m. They got to do it to make sure we defeat this proposal in November.
Nick Schroer, Senator Nick Schroer. You can hear him every Sunday night, 6 o'clock here on News Talk STL with Stand and Fight. Rodney Boyd joins us every Wednesday. Both of you gentlemen, really appreciate your time this afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your day, guys. Thanks so much.
God bless you.
Take care. All right.
Thank you. All right. And we're switch gears a little bit, have a little bit of fun. We're going to open up Close's Cabinet with our buddy Mark Close from KC95 next.
Hey, it's Vic. Are you worried about rising taxes? Well, you're not alone. With government spending outpacing revenue, many Americans fear a tax hike is on the horizon. But here's the good news. you have options. Chris Cooper of Serenity Wealth Management specializes in tax-efficient strategies for income planning, legacy, and growth. Chris knows your money will go to one of three places: the government, healthcare, or your family and charities. Shouldn't your loved ones come first? Don't let Uncle Sam be your biggest beneficiary. Take control of your financial future today. Visit serenitynowtax.com for your free copy of Chris's book, The New Holistic Retirement. Serenity Wealth Management, because you deserve peace of mind in retirement. Request your free book today at serenitynowtax.com. That's serenitynowtax.com to get your free copy of The New Holistic Retirement. That's serenitynowtax.com. Serenity Now with Chris Cooper.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors.
Dive into adventure with Great American Divers. We're your local veteran-owned scuba center offering PADI certification courses, equipment repairs, and dive travel opportunities. From beginners to experts, we got you covered. Kids can join our SEAL Team classes, and we even host pool parties. Our experienced staff is passionate about teaching, and we're the only center in the area with our own indoor heated pool. Great American Divers on Central School Road in St. Charles. Visit greatamericandivers.com. Great American Divers, where adventure runs deep.
Need reliable auto service from people you can trust? Look no further than Western Tire and Auto. For over 15 years, we've been your complete automotive repair center, family owned and operated, with owner Dean Cleathermes bringing 30 years of industry experience. At Western Tire and Auto, you're not just a customer, you're family. We promise 100% satisfaction, treating you with the transparency, respect, and honesty you deserve. Visit us in St. Peters or in Florissant. For appointments, call or check westerntireauto.com. Western Tire and Auto, your local automotive experts since 2008.
KLGY HD3 Clay, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
This hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. Year-over-year inflation reached its lowest level in more than 3 years in July. White House correspondent Greg Clugston with a report.
Prices still went up last month by 2.9%, but it was the mildest year-over-year inflation figure since March 2021. And at the White House, the president told reporters he wants credit for seeing the prices start to come down.
Yes. I told you we're going to have a soft landing. We're going to have a soft landing. My policies are working. Start writing that way, okay?
Most Americans still hold a negative view of the economy, which is a major issue in this year's presidential election. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Also at townhall.com, the Mideast region still considered very volatile with the possible Iranian strike on Israel and ceasefire talks that get underway Thursday. At a news conference, State Department Deputy Spokesman Vedant Patel.
We fully expect these talks to move forward as they should. And our point of view is that all negotiators should return to the table and bring this deal to conclusion. It is far time for the remaining hostages to be released, which of course include American citizens, and bring relief to the people of Gaza under the deal that is now on the table.
The talks between Hamas and Israel will resume in Qatar with Qatari, Egyptian, and U.S. mediators. Chances of a breakthrough appear slim. For more than a week now, Ukrainian troops have pushed into the Kursk region of Russia, just north of their border, in the most extensive incursion by Kyiv's forces in the war. The advance has shown significant weaknesses in Russia's border defense. In the Caribbean, Hurricane Ernesto, now about 225 miles northwest of San Juan, Puerto Rico, and is now moving over open waters. Stocks finished higher. The Dow up 242 points. The NASDAQ gained 5. More at townhall.com.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident that was not your fault, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by to answer your questions for free. Call now and find out if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-504-8790. I'm here with spokesman John Wolf. So, John, tell everyone listening who should call right now.
Well, Maria, first off, thank you for having me here. It's always nice to answer the listeners' questions. Now, as far as who should call in, anyone who's been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, give us a call right now. 800-504-8790. You'll find out if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth.
Thanks, John. You heard it, folks. Take advantage of this opportunity and call now. 800-504-8790.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center, may not be available in all states.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Rain is moving across the area this afternoon, but most of it's going to be drying up as we get into the later afternoon hours. In fact, we may even see a little glimpse of sunshine with temperatures making it into the low 80s today. Should be pretty quiet overnight until early tomorrow morning when one round of showers and thunderstorms moves to the north of St. Louis, but a second round in the evening and overnight hours could become severe. This is again on Thursday afternoon, evening, and overnight. We have to watch out for some strong storms. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Fox News commentary.
The family of soul songwriter Isaac Hayes demands Trump stop using his song at rallies, plus pay $3 million in licensing fees. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
In these crazy times, there's peace of mind in security. Security for our country, for our leaders, security for our families. You are not financially secure if all your eggs are in one basket. Gold and silver are an excellent way to diversify your savings. And through our friends at Birch Gold Group, you can own physical gold and silver in a tax-sheltered retirement account.
Text the word SHELTER to the number 989898 and get a free, no-obligation info kit on gold. Text SHELTER to 989898 today.
Family of deceased soul singer and songwriter Isaac Hayes is threatening legal action against Trump for using his track Hold On, I'm Coming at rallies without permission. The family also wants to recoup $3 million in licensing fees. Hayes' son Isaac III posted a copy of the infringement notice and in a social media post accused Trump of being both a racist and a sexual abuser unfit to represent his dad's song. The Trump campaign has been using the song at various rallies over the course of 2 years. The family of Isaac Hayes is considering 134 counts of copyright infringement and also demands any video featuring the song be removed. The family also claims they've repeatedly asked the Trump campaign to stop using the song. You know, at this point, I think the Trump campaign should avoid all this mess and stick with Lee Greenwood and Kid Rock. There's nothing better than God Bless the USA anyway. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless, at Outkick.com.
The news and talk
Minnesota Governor Tim Walz
that matters to St. Louis.
The pluses would be executive experience. He was also in Congress.
He's a very liberal man.
This is 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Well, the dawn was coming, heard him ringing on my bed. They said my name's a teacher, oh, that is what I call myself, and I have a lesson that I must impart to you.
Oh, welcome back to Colombo Company on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL. Little Jethro Tull there. Opening up Closest Cabinet this week, brought to you by Weber Chevrolet. Skip Weber from Weber Chevrolet, unfortunately not able to join us this week, but your star of Closest Cabinet, Mark Close from KC95, is here. And Mark, I don't know, when you're searching back in the old days, when you're looking at the wall of records there at KC95, did you file Jethro Tull under Jethro, or was it Tull, comma, Jethro?
Yes, that's it was used, I believe it was under J on that one. He's named after a 17th, the name of the band is named after a 17th century agriculturalist.
Okay.
So there you go. Where else do you get your name from? The Jethro Tull. And a lot of people, Ian Anderson's the front guy jumping around on one leg with the flute. So they kind of referred to him like he's Jethro Tull. Well, he's not. He's Ian Anderson. And he's got a different name all the way around. Of course, that was the case, too, when the band Alice Cooper started. The front guy was not Alice Cooper. The whole band was Alice Cooper. And then all of a sudden, he just became Alice Cooper, and that's now who he kind of goes by. And I might add, one of the nicest guys you will ever talk to in your entire life.
Not only is like nice, normal, like like educated, and like he's like he knows a lot about like current affairs. If you ever hear him interviewed, he has a He has a strong, well thought out political, opinion.
Yep.
And
yep.
and then you see him on stage and he's like wearing, sequins and makeup.
Sure.
And has a snake wrapped around his neck and, and mascara, right?
Cutting his head off. Yeah. No, he said it. It's like my persona off stage is nothing, it's the minute I step on stage, I'm Alice Cooper. When I get off, I'm Vinny Furnier. And the best part, one of his all-time greatest friends, Glenn Campbell.
Really?
Glenn Campbell. They were golfing buddies. Big
that's the other
golfing
thing.
buddies.
He's a really good golfer.
Monster
Yeah.
golfer.
Like a big time
Very
in those,
good
like
golfer.
pro-am tournaments and stuff like that.
Right.
He's a big
But
big
he
part
and
of
Glenn
those.
were really, Arizona guys and really, really good friends. Really good friends.
That's funny. So, Jethro Tull known for, and of course we got to thank Stel Ponticus, Stel Babe from
Good
the
job.
morning show, Mike Ferguson in the morning. He picks out the opening song for Closest Cabinet every week. Where do you put Jethro Tull overall? For me, they're not exact. Like, I appreciate their impact, but not necessarily my favorite. I think most people do. Like when you say Jethro Tull, I think flute because you just didn't hear a whole lot of flute in a lot of classic rock back in the day. Where do you put them on that spectrum?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen them in concert before. They put on a great show. They got great players in the band. I've just, the Thick as a Brick and Aqualung and a lot of that stuff. It was okay. They were never favorites of mine. They were always very much a part of, progressive rock and roll in the day. And as I said, Ian Anderson still goes out. A couple of the other guys from the band go out and play like over the Wilding, over in Edwardsville and stuff. So they're still kind of out and about doing, but yeah, they were never the top of my list.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Kind of that way too.
Yeah.
I was trying to think about any other like Alice Cooper, which originally was the band, not the guy, but now is the guy. Jethro Tull, not a guy. Leonard Skinnard, not a guy. However, wasn't that a teacher?
Guy.
Wasn't that a real guy though that they named their band after?
You suppose he was a gym teacher in high school. They gave him crap for having long hair, so they named him. They named the band Leonard Skinnard. Exactly. So that's where that name came from. So,
that's funny. Yeah. Yeah. It's Mark Close for KC95. This is Closest Cabinet on Colombo Company, brought to you by Weber Chevrolet. Unfortunately, our buddy Skip Weber not able to join us. But Mark, producer Emily is in studio with us. Producer Emily, brand new producer here of the show. She started full-time here every day on Monday. So she taking over now after the transition away from Katie. So we've got another young lady who will be able to keep us informed on, what's hip and what's not hip and, maybe correct us in
Wait
some
until people back at school hear that I get to decide what's hip and what's not.
I told her that she is now the official spokesperson for Gen Z. She now speaks for all young people in the world. Everybody under the age of 30, you now represent.
You heard it here
completely.
first.
Yes. So I want to get both of your thoughts on some of these stories today. Mark, let's start with a stupid criminal story. I think this is hilarious. Don't know if you saw this story, but a woman in Virginia last week was jolted awake in the middle of the night. This happened last Friday night. She thought there was a storm happening, maybe a tornado or a really bad thunderstorm at first. But what it was a guy in a 2017 Dodge Charger who veered off the road and crashed into her house with his car, hit a fence, careened across the yard, went kind of through an above ground pool, and then slammed into the woman's deck. The homeowner, this is where it gets interesting. According to the police report and according to interviews with the woman involved in this, the homeowner said that when it first happened and she goes, down the steps to see what's going on, she confronts the driver who says, my dad is a millionaire I will pay you $50,000 right now if you don't call the police. And she said,
really?
I'm calling the police. What do you do in that situation, Marker? How much money does it take for Mark Close not to call the police if a guy drives a car through your pool and into your deck?
Well, you know what? I guess it all depends on the pool and the deck, man. They ain't cheap.
And,
you could,
and the car they're
you know,
driving.
somebody,
Too. I mean,
right?
Yeah, you could do $100,000 worth of damage, and I don't know. So this kid's whoever this guy, he's driving around with 50 large in his pocket that he can hand it to somebody. I don't know. I'm getting a little. You know, it's just like, do you know who my dad is? And like,
right,
yeah, all right,
right.
So, yeah.
2017 yellow Dodge Charger. That sounds like Bumblebee to me. You know, which is a nice car. It's not
the colors. I feel like if you're driving a yellow Dodge Charger, you got. It's anybody driving a yellow Dodge.
That's not a sign of a millionaire.
It's like a sign of
a wannabe millionaire.
Maybe like new money, like a scratch off lottery win or something like that. That could be confused with the little drugs.
I love that Emily's way of determining whether this guy is legit or not is the color and make and model of the car.
Color of the car.
I heard there was a green back in the day that like meant wealth.
Right.
If it's not that color,
if you were driving a 2024 red Corvette, then I might take your money. But
then it's a typical Ferris Bueller's Day Off, like, you know, show up with one of those cars and I might listen.
It's an interesting ploy by the guy. You know, I mean, if you really have that kind of money, what have you got to lose? I've actually seen, I had this happen in person several years ago at our last home, at our old home. I was on my way home from, I think, work. I was really close to home, and my wife called and said she just heard a massive crash and was like, "Where are you?" I'm kind of freaked out. And I was literally right around the corner. You know, I was like, I'll be home in 60 seconds. I pull around the corner, and in my next door, there is a car like wedged in my next door neighbor's garage. And it was, had it not hit my next door neighbor's garage, it would have hit my gas meter. Like that was the line that he was on. And yeah, so I've seen this, like it sounds pretty unbelievable, but I have literally seen, I was the first one there. I pull up and it's dead silent, which is eerie. And there's still smoke, you know, and debris in the air because it had just happened.
Right.
He had gotten up. Apparently he had gotten out and fled. I didn't see him, but his car, I mean, like, you know, it was all, and then, you know, minutes later, here come all the cops and all the neighbors and everything else. And it turns into this chaotic scene. But I've actually witnessed this, this type of thing myself. So it does happen. Unbelievably, it does happen. And I mean, I guess you just start like, you know, I guess you just start naming your price. What if I pay you 50 grand to not pay, to not call the cops?
50 grand, he's got priors that are out.
Right.
He's like going, the last thing we need here is the police.
Yeah.
Because they're going to take me away. So I get 50. But yeah, the whole idea of 50,000, I think it's a little fishy.
Cash.
You
got it on you?
Cash is king, right? Like,
hello.
I'm not taking a check. I will take the cash though. Do we still have you, Mark? Uh-oh. I think we lost Mark. This happens all the time with him. Will you hang up and call him back? Yeah, we'll get him back on the line. It's so crazy. This happens to Mark's phone. I don't know. Somebody out there, there's a hacker in St. Louis that doesn't like when we talk to Mark Close, because that happens all the time. I want to get into a couple other stories before we run out of time with Mark. We'll take this moment to remind you that Close's Cabinet is brought to you by Weber Chevrolet. And although Skip Weber is not able to join us this afternoon, Weber Chevrolet, 3 locations around town to serve you every single day of the week. Creve Coeur in Missouri, Granite City and Columbia in Illinois. Check them out if you are looking for a new or used vehicle. They are going to give you the best price on a new or used vehicle. They are also going to give you the best deal on a new trade-in. But aside from all of those things, for me, you've heard me talk about it before, what I think sets Weber Chevrolet apart from the rest is the service department and the way they take care of you and that vehicle for the entire time that you own it. That's why they're the #1 rated Chevy dealership in the Midwest, and that is why they have been around in the St. Louis area for over 120 years, because of the way they take care of their customers. So again, if you're looking for a new vehicle, check out Weber Chevrolet and learn about what's happening at all 3 dealerships at weberchevrolet.com. All right, I think we got Mark back on the line. Mark, there's a hacker. There's somebody in the St. Louis area who does not like when you join us on this segment because they're always out to get you.
Yes. Yes. And I can't imagine who it might be, but just leave it alone.
Right?
Leave it alone.
No kidding.
Right.
Moving on here. We've done a lot of stories on this segment, Mark, about a certain kind of food that tastes like another food, or like a drink that tastes like a food.
Sure.
Here's the latest.
Right.
Here's the latest. Anybody interested in this? Emily, I want your thoughts also. Oreo flavored Coca-Cola is coming out in conjunction with Coca-Cola flavored Oreos.
Gosh, can't they do anything original?
Mark, do you like Coke? Do you like Oreos? And do you want to see the two fused?
It's like whenever you try like a new food and everybody goes, oh, and if it's meat, everybody goes, well, it tastes like chicken. Well, then eat
chicken.
If you want an Oreo, eat an Oreo. If you want a Coca-Cola, buy a Coca-Cola. I don't think
if you want both, put them together.
Put them together.
I mean,
Absolutely.
Yeah, pour yourself a
Oreo.
glass of Coke with some Oreos.
Absolutely. So, I mean, it's all to give, they do that. The sodas, they've got like the Thanksgiving sodas. You remember, they come out every year.
It's
and it's
the
like
Pop-Tart thing.
turkey and dressing soda, and you're like, oh, no. But it's any kind of gimmick, I guess, that draws attention to it. I don't, the big thing for a long time, remember, was lemon and lime. They were putting lemon and lime and everything.
Oh, yeah.
So,
lemon lime soda. I think that's still like a big thing.
You could probably get, they had lime, Diet Coke, and I think they just continued it. But yeah, I'm like, okay, I mean, it's interesting, but I can just go buy a pack of Oreos and a 6-pack of Coke, and I'm there. Brother.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go.
And at best, for me, it's like, oh, that does this Oreo does kind of taste like Coke. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And then that's it. Then the novelty is over, and I'm back to regular Oreos.
It's the thing about the giant Pop-Tart we were talking about. Like the giant
giant
I mean,
Pop-Tart.
marketing teams like behind these companies are just like taking darts and throwing them at
Was
the
that
wall.
was that on Friday, or was that with you, Mark? Were you part of that conversation about the giant Pop-Tart? The Pop-Tart that served
like 76
73 people. It was big enough that it fed 73 people. A Pop-Tart.
My first question is where do you find a toaster big enough to put it in? I mean, what does the toaster look
and
like?
And not only that, but Ethan pointed out, our producer Ethan, who was on with us that day, pointed out that it was all the pictures of it was on the floor because there was no table big enough, or obviously plate big enough.
It was the table. Holy cow, you could be bigger off that.
So maybe I would choose the Oreos before the Pop-Tart. I would try it.
Yeah.
Like, what's the,
so
what do I gain?
What's the point?
So not only are they making the Oreo flavored Coke and the Coke flavored Oreo, but McDonald's, and this all gets released next month in September. So coming to a store near you. Also, at the same time as this all rolls out, at McDonald's and 7-Elevens, you'll be able to get the frozen drink version. So it's a frozen Coke that tastes like an Oreo.
These things should not even be put together. Now that I'm thinking about it even deeper, I'm like,
you're getting mad.
That doesn't sound good. Like, I understand, pineapple coconut, or, coffee with, pumpkin spice, right? But Coke and chocolate,
right?
Like, chocolate cream candied don't sound like they can be on the same palette.
Yeah, you're in the McDonald's drive-thru and you're like, I want a Big Mac and fries and a frozen Coke, and the guy's like, oh, a frozen Coke or a frozen Oreo Coke?
Oreo.
Yes.
What is happening? What is happening in life when we're having this conversation?
Too much.
Yeah, but it's all heading your way. Store coming to you soon. Last thing, Mark, before we go. A list of old school names that people say will never become popular again has been released. There was a survey done on one of the big social media platforms, and it was, we've seen a lot of old-fashioned names come back into popularity. This is the opposite. This is supposedly a list of old school names that will never be popular again. I'll give you a few. Tell me if you disagree, if you agree or disagree. I'll give you the top from 10 to 1. Isis, Fanny, Karen, which Karen's not even an old school name. It's just a name that got got destroyed by the internet.
Yeah, right.
I feel so sorry for every Karen on earth.
I know. Do something else.
Right?
Small game.
Karen is number 8. 7, Horace. 6, Errol, like Errol Flynn, I guess.
Right.
Number 5, Adolf. Duh.
Yeah.
Number 4, Ebenezer. Number 3, Gay for women and Gaylord for men. I've known like women named Gay. But
we used to work with a gay, and we used to work with a young lady named Gay.
Yeah,
Sales, lovely young lady.
But I get it. And then number 1 and number 2 are Elmo and Kermit, and mostly for the reasons that they are now, only associated with their character. Do you agree? There's also, like, in this top 20 list, there's also names like Bartholomew, Bertha, Alexa. But again, not because Alexa is to me, Alexa's not an old school name.
No,
but it falls in the same category as Karen. Like, you can't, like Alexa's been, taken over by the Amazon Echo. So, like, you can't name anybody Alexa anymore, just like you can't name anybody Karen anymore. What do you think of that list? And what do you think about the chant? Archibald is another one on this list. What do you think?
I know two Archibalds.
Yeah,
basically enough.
I think Archibald's a great name because Archie's a great name.
Archie, Archie, I think is great. Yeah. So, and I got to tell you, at this point, I don't think we'll be having any children. But if I were to have another child,
that would be news itself. That would be headline news right there.
Wouldn't be sitting here talking about words.
But that child would be called Ebenezer Close. I guarantee you that, brother. I'd be all over. Hi, Ebby. Hey, Ebenezer. I love me some Ebenezer.
Ebenezer Archibald Close.
Close. Yep.
Here's a couple more that I don't know that I agree with. Prudence is on the list. I think that's a pretty name, Prudence, and I don't know that that's like a name that's gone. Phyllis is on the list. I guess so. Maybe Lance. What's wrong with Lance?
I have friends named Lance.
Is Lance?
That's more current, yeah.
Is there more? Is there a reason? But it's on this list. And then there are a couple more that I do agree with, like Cletus. It's on the list. And so is, here's a classic, Broomhilda.
Who the hell is named Broomhilda?
It's a name, though. You've heard that name, Broomhilda. Yeah,
but Broomhilda, that's like something
I've never heard that name.
You've never heard the name Broomhilda? It's a real name. It's a perfect, like, if you need to write if you're writing a story
Gothic fiction,
and you need a Gothic fiction, like antagonist that's an old woman, Broomhilda. If you ever ever watching a movie or reading a book and there's a Broomhilda in it, she's the bad guy. I guarantee you.
Well, and she's probably cooking children in a giant.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's giving. Who was the villain from 101 Dalmatians?
Yeah.
Cruella.
Cruella DeVille.
It's given Broomhilda or Cruella. You decide.
Yes, exactly. That's a great point. All right, Marker, that's going to do it today. I think we can't drive off any more people at this point. Remind folks, if you got any band gigs coming up, anything happening there at KC95, anything to promote to the people before we let you go?
Well, we got Learn back on the air middays 10 to 2, so we're excited about that over
cool.
at KC. And Favaz is doing afternoons now 2 to 6 and 8 in the morning, so that's cool. Our next band gig is coming up, I guess, a week from the Saturday on the 24th. We're actually playing the Alton Marina, which is, we go right over the Alton Bridge. The marina's there. It's 7 to 10 that night. They're celebrating an anniversary. No cover charge. You don't have to be a member. We're going to have a good old time on the 24th of August at the Alton Marina.
Yeah, is that in the amphitheater there at the marina?
The marina the marina obviously is right on the river. It's right there on the river, so you just follow it on in, and it's different than the amphitheater.
Okay, but it's right next to it because the amphitheater is right there on the river also. That's an awesome That's an awesome area. That amphitheater, those Alton Fairgrounds, the marina, all of that area. That's a really cool. And if you guys get good weather that night, that'll be a blast. That'll be a great show.
Well, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
looking forward to it.
That's super cool. All right, Marker, thanks so much for all your time. That's Mark Close from KC95, closest cabinet here on Colombo and Company. Thanks, buddy. We'll talk to you next week.
See you guys.
See ya. All right, and we are going to roll on with an update. I mentioned earlier that Elon Musk, he goes from interviewing Donald Trump in front of 1 billion people to now maybe being the guy that is going to save the astronauts that are stranded in the International Space Station. We'll give you an update on that and more next here on Colombo and Company on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL. If you have a phone, you have a radio. Download the News Talk STL app and listen anytime, anywhere.
Summertime is here, and that means there are summer to-do lists and summer projects that need to be done around the house. If you are looking for flooring, if you think you need an update because your carpet is old or your hardwood looks worn out, my suggestion is to go to Michael's Flooring Outlet, igotfloored.com. Michael's Flooring Outlet has experts that will help you pick out that right hardwood or laminate or vinyl or carpet that fits your household and your needs. Maybe you need something low maintenance. Maybe you need something that won't show the pet hair. Michael's Flooring Outlet will help you make the right decision, and then those experts will have the installation done quickly and efficiently and right the first time. Visit them at one of their 3 locations in Dardine Prairie, St. Peter's, or Creve Coeur. Or if you don't have time to go visit one of those places, shop in-home. Check out everything that Michael's has to offer at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
John Beal knows it right after a hailstorm. New roofing companies start popping up everywhere. But the Small Business Administration reports 96% of them go out of business within the first 5 years. So how good is that warranty? John Beal started in the roofing business, helping his granddad and his dad. Always offering the best roof, best price, best guarantee. John Beal Roofing, not some fly-by-the-night operation. Call my friend John, 1-800-NEW-ROOF, 1-800-NEW-ROOF.
This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
Our nation is a melting pot made up of immigrants from all over the world. They bring their culture, their food, their music. All of that is good if they come legally. And if legal, they can become a naturalized U.S. citizen. Naturalization is a process by which they become a U.S. citizen. Certain requirements, age involved, character, English and civics, they must be able to speak and understand our U.S. history. Many Americans could use that course. And they must swear allegiance to our U.S. Constitution. It normally takes 18 to 24 months to go through the entire process. But now suddenly they're speeding it up. The New York Times is reporting now to become a naturalized citizen, once you pass the time in country, they can do it in maybe under 5 months. Is this just to get rid of the backlog of 400,000 waiting? Or is there a way to get more voters in line for maybe the Democrats? This surge is not about clearing backlogs. It is potentially reshaping the electorate just months before a pivotal election. If they're eligible, they should be allowed to vote. But what's the real purpose of escalation?
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
You want to give someone something which they will really enjoy? Give them a Cafe Napoli gift card. You pick the amount, and they pick which of the Cafe Napolis they want to visit. Cafe Napoli in Clayton, Cafe Napoli in Town and Country, Napoli 3 on the streets of St. Charles, or right next door, Napoli C. The Napoli gift card. It's the perfect gift for anyone or your entire office. Cafe Napoli. Cafe Napoli.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Gene Evans, former state representative, former executive director of the Missouri Republican Party.
The National Party and the state party have had school choice in their platform, parent empowerment. Donald Trump's agenda, and he's mentioned it several times lately, he talked about it a lot when he was president, is school choice. A state that 100% backs Trump is not going to take a major piece of agenda out of their platform. They're just not.
Weekday mornings, 5:30 to 9 on News Talk STL.
Loyalty means a lot at Ackerman Toyota. That's why during COVID, Ackerman refused to charge over sticker price, while others did. Ackerman stayed true to their customers, selling at or below manufacturer suggested prices. Ackerman will get you what you want, and the service department has the same spirit. You come first. And thank you for making Ackerman Toyota number one in 2023. Ackerman Toyota, AckermanToyota.com. Ackerman Toyota for life.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
On the next Larry Connors USA.
Trump is clear. If I'm reelected president, we'll restart our oil and energy independence. With Harris, don't bet on it.
Larry Connors USA. Now, weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
Welcome back to Colombo Company on 101.9 News Talk STL. Great stuff there with our buddy Mark Close from KC95. Close's Cabinet brought to you by Weber Chevrolet. Before that, we talked to Rodney Boyd, Missouri political insider, as well as Missouri State Senator Nick Schroer. There's been a lot of company today on this Wednesday afternoon, and a perfect time to just remind you that if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the podcast. We put the show out as a podcast right after we get off the air every day, and we put it on basically every podcast platform. So wherever you listen to podcasts, make sure you're also subscribed to Colombo and Company. I didn't say Colombo and Katie a minute ago, did I? I just had it in my brain.
Probably not.
I'm such
it's
a
like,
mess.
did I lock the door before
Exactly.
Did I lock my car?
Do I need to correct myself or did I say it right? I couldn't remember. It's Colombo and Company. Duh. Total stream of consciousness. Nothing to do with anything. One of my favorite, one of my go-to podcasts. I've talked about this many times, Emily. When I am just doing yard work or, housework, I've always got a podcast on. And if I'm not, doing stuff for the show, like listening to Donald Trump.
Are you going to say true crime?
True crime and paranormal stuff.
Oh my gosh.
Last night I was watching a true crime documentary, a true crime report. It was about this guy he was being interviewed by the police. He'd set his house on fire and killed his brother. It was an older guy who lived with his brother, and he set the house on fire and killed his brother. And every time the police would in the interrogation room, every time they would say we have this evidence, blah, 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 the guy would be like, why would I burn up my stuff? I didn't do it. Duh.
SNL skit.
It kept being duh. He kept done the police officers.
Was he ever what was the verdict on that?
He was clearly guilty. He was convicted and he is in jail as we speak. Duh. But I was like, man, we should bring back duh. He kept hitting them with it. It was they were like, well, we also know that your stuff was my stuff was burned up too. Duh. Why would I set the place on fire? Duh.
Jury.
He didn't do it, but maybe he did.
You're on.
I didn't get to hear it. They didn't give me clips from the case, but I watched almost the entire police interrogation, and he was just done these police officers over and over again. It was hilarious. And
Your Honor, I didn't do it.
Duh. Duh. He was my brother. Duh. It was really funny. Okay, back on track here. Donald Trump is actually speaking right now at a rally in Asheville, North Carolina. No big news here. He's actually just brought somebody else. Somebody else is now speaking at this event. I'm sure some local person there that means something to the people in North Carolina. But what's interesting to me is we dipped into it for a second there. I just wanted to kind of listen to see what he was talking about. Nick Shore brought up earlier in the show, we were talking about Trump, and we were just talking about, the coming election and the no tax on tips, which is something that now Kamala Harris is trying to steal from Donald Trump. It's actually part of the background at this event. So it's like the step and repeat background that you see, at every press conference. It says text Trump to whatever little short code it is to like get stuff. But then it also has like these different like campaign slogans on it, like no tax on Social Security and no tax on tips. And I find that to be really interesting, that it's part of the background of this setup, that's going to be a big part of this presidential campaign and one of the big issues. And it's going to be something that the Democrats and Kamala Harris are trying to steal from Donald Trump.
Bipartisanship, right? Like, I mean, if at least there's one thing.
Right, but they're going to try to claim that it was their idea because, the Democrats are supposed to be the working man. They're the ones that are supposed to be there to help the working people, even though it's exactly the opposite. That, that Donald Trump looks like he's owning the no tax on tips before it can be stolen.
It first.
Yeah, before it can be stolen by Kamala Harris and the Democrats. So that's really interesting. Speaking of Donald Trump, he just had his conversation with Elon Musk that got over 1 billion views, which is absolutely insane. And now Elon Musk is back in the news again because apparently he is going to rescue the astronauts that are stranded at the International Space Station. NASA leaders revealed a few new details during a briefing on a pair of astronauts who have been stuck on the ISS since June after a malfunction of their Boeing spacecraft. Boy, Boeing just going through it right now. They got to get it together. NASA astronauts Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams arrived on a Starliner Boeing vehicle on June 5th. They were only supposed to stay for a couple of weeks, but they have been stuck there ever since, and it looks like it's going to be a while before they are able to recover these two from the International Space Station. Both astronauts are, according to NASA, very familiar with the ISS. They have both been there at least 2 other times. So hopefully at least they're comfortable and okay up there. A previously discussed option, which is now the going theory of how they're going to get these astronauts back, is on a SpaceX. That's Elon Musk's space company. A SpaceX Crew 9 mission that is going to take off next month in September, that will have 2 empty seats on the shuttle, which would leave room for these two astronauts to come back. But that spaceship is not that shuttle is not coming back until February of 2025. So what was supposed to be, it's like Gilligan's Island. What was supposed to be a 3-hour tour is now turning into, the better part of a year
I
of
hate
time
to be an astronaut. That's
stuck
like
in
a job I
space.
will never do because of that. Exactly.
So the Starliner thing has some propulsion issues and a leak of some kind. Boeing says that it is confident that the Starliner is safe enough right now, the one that's up there, to bring the astronauts back. But NASA says no. No, it's not. And that's not what we're doing. So right now it looks like
send a camera crew up there and make a good movie.
Yeah,
out of it
there
too.
is a camera crew up there. We can talk to them and see them. So they at least have that going for them. So looks like Elon Musk is going to get those guys back, but not until February. Emily and I will be back tomorrow at 2. In the meantime, keep it here for the O'Reilly Report next and the Tim Jones and Chris Arp Show on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
He's rolling. He could give the Cardinals the lead. Swing and get up, baby. Get up, get up, get up, get up. Home run.
On Saturday, August 17th, the Cardinals host the Los Angeles Dodgers. That night, 25,000 fans ages 16 and older will leave with their very own Scott Rowland.